This is immigration attorney Parviz Malakouti, and in this video I want to go over what should be your final checklist when you're going through your immigration application package before you send it into USCIS. Now, a quick word. First thing I want to say is if you're doing an application on your own, hopefully it's something just simple like a DACA renewal or perhaps a basic naturalization request or maybe an I-130. If you have a process that's a little bit more complicated or if there's some sort of issue with your situation, if you've been undocumented before, if you've ever been convicted of a crime, you want to think very, very carefully about possibly contacting a lawyer, my office, or another competent immigration attorney for a consultation. But in any case, if you're submitting the application on your own, you want to make sure that right before you submit that application to USCIS, you go through a quick checklist of items to make sure that your application doesn't get rejected for a silly reason, like having the wrong filing fee, or for example, having left a box blank in one of the fields, okay? So before I get into that, I just want to say what this video is not. This video is not going to show people how to apply for different immigration applications. This video does not talk about who qualifies for different immigration applications or even all of the things you need to check. Those are topics that are much more complicated. There's no way to deal with them in just one video. This video is what should be the final checklist when you have all of your documents, everything ready. What's the final checklist you should go through before you actually seal that envelope and take it to USPS or UPS to send off to USCIS? So without any further ado, let's get right into it. And in order to go over this checklist, I printed out the checklist that I use for my firm actually, and I'm gonna go over these one by one. So first thing is, if you have an immigration application, at least among immigration attorneys and among some people who do it on their own, you want to have a cover letter. Cover letter is super simple, super basic. All it does is basically tell USCIS, hey, this is what to expect in this package. So boom, if you're doing, let's say, a marriage-based adjustment of status, you want to say, please find the attached documents, I-130, I-45, I-864, etc., etc. And you just list those documents. So that goes in a cover letter. So the first thing you want to check is to make sure that all the documents that you mention in the cover letter actually are in the package. This happens often. Sometimes people, especially with the more complicated packages that have a bunch of forms, they list off a bunch of forms and they forget to put one or two of those forms in there. Okay, so number one, are all the documents mentioned in the cover letter actually present in the package you're about to submit? Number two, are all the applications in your package the most current version on the USCIS website? Extremely important. USCIS updates its application forms every roughly year and a half, 2 years, maybe 2.5 years. You want to make sure, you have to make sure that when you submit an application to USCIS, it's the most current version. Now, if you download the application from USCIS, you might be thinking, well, heck, why do I have to check to make sure it's the most current? I already downloaded it. Let me tell you a common situation in which this happens. Oftentimes somebody downloads an application from USCIS and then they're missing a piece of information from something else that delays them. So that form, they download it, they fill it out, it sits for 2, 3, 4, 5 months, and then they get the piece of information and they're ready to submit. They don't check to make sure that that application is the most current version. And sometimes in that 2, 3, 4, 5 month period, USCIS updated the application. So you always want to make sure that you check, are all the applications in your package the most current version on the USCIS website? Number three, are all the fields filled out in the documents and are the blanks filled out with either a none or an N/A. Let me explain. So this is a more common recent issue. Just this year or so, early 2020, USCIS started rejecting applications that had blank fields in them. Now, why would an application have a blank field? Because plenty of questions in a USCIS application are not going to apply to you. They're not going to apply to the applicant. So if there's boxes left there for your children's names and you have no children, people think, oh, I don't have any children, I'm going to leave them blank. Previously, that was okay. Now it's not really okay anymore with USCIS. USCIS is rejecting those applications, they're sending them back. So what do you do then with those boxes that don't apply to you? You need to do one of two things. You need to fill them out with either the word none, N-O-N-E, or N/A, which stands for not applicable. You want to make sure as a final check before you're sending in this application that every single box in every one of your USCIS applications is filled out, either with information that USCIS is requesting, or if it doesn't apply, you want to put the none or the N/A. That's number three. Number four, another important one. Does the cover letter and the package address match USCIS's website instructions? So I think most people understand that you can't just fill out an immigration application and then just slap the word to immigration, Washington, D.C. Doesn't work like that. USCIS has multiple sub-entities which receive documents depending on where you live in the United States and the type of application it is that you're applying for. So the USCIS website has detailed instructions on exactly where to send your application depending on those two factors. Make sure you check them, double check them. Make sure you're sending your application off to the correct address. Very, very important. That's number 4. Number 5, are all your documents signed? Are they all signed? Anytime you submit an application to USCIS, whether it be an I-130, I-130A, I-45, whatever, it has to be signed. Now, when you're dealing with a bunch of applications, especially, sometimes people forget to sign their documents. It's a silly mistake, it's an honest mistake, but that's not gonna stop USCIS from rejecting that, sending it back to you, and making you waste a lot of time and money. So make sure you check, are all the documents signed, all of your USCIS forms. Number 6, and we only have one more after this, we're gonna do 7 total. Number 6, are the correct number of passport photos included in the packet? Now, not every single USCIS immigration application asks for passport photos, but the majority of immigration benefits, most benefits, if you apply for them with USCIS, they're going to require a certain number of passport photos. Now, you gotta make sure that you send the proper number. Sometimes USCIS can be lax on this. To be honest, sometimes if they're short 1 or 2, it's not a big deal, but sometimes they'll reject it. Not worth taking the risk, okay? It's too much trouble, it's too much hassle to fill out these forms, send them in, and then have to redo them. So make sure that you're double checking the instructions for every application that you're sending in, and that you're sending the appropriate number of passport photos in there. That's number 6. Number 7, did you scan the entire package, including payment and the passport photos? Did you scan it for yourself before you seal up that package and take it to the post office and send it off? You have to do this. This is extremely, extremely important. You need to know exactly what you submitted to USCIS. This is important for record keeping purposes. This is important in case you go to a lawyer later. This is important in case your case goes sideways. It's important for so many reasons. So you want to get a scanner. Obviously you scan all of the forms through, but you scan everything. You also put the passport photos on the scanning bed. Scan the passport photos. You also put the payment, if you have a check, on the scanning bed. Scan the check as well. You also put the envelope. I put the envelope that it's in on the scanning bed as well too. Make sure you have everything that can possibly be scanned so you have a complete record. And if you run into trouble later, you're gonna be really thankful that you have exactly a record of what you submitted to USCIS. One other thing that I just thought about right now that I wanna add on, important checklist, did you make sure to address your payment if you're writing a check or a money order to the proper entity? So if you're submitting an application with USCIS, you want to make your payment out to U.S. Department of Homeland Security. You don't make it out to USCIS as the recipient. You don't make it to USDHS. You don't make it to immigration. You write the check or money order to U.S. Department of Homeland Security. Now, sometimes people slide on this. People have submitted applications sometimes with the incorrect addressee and it's cashed, but we want to make sure that you do it right so you don't even take that risk. Anyway, that's my checklist. Okay, that's the final checklist for sending out an application. I hope that helps. If you have a more complicated immigration application, or if you're confused about what to do or what you qualify for and you need a consultation, feel free to contact my office. I do charge for consultations. If you're interested in consult, just click on the link below. Otherwise, I hope this helps and I wish you the best of luck.